Hi everybody, my name's Ron. Welcome to the Minute Ministry. The Lord has impressed in my heart to kind of bring forth a thought, I guess. We've got videos on family heritage living. My wife and I, our family. I don't typically do videos myself. I'm a little uncomfortable being in front of the camera myself. I don't claim to be a preacher or anything like that. I have been serving the Lord for a couple of decades. I do have a little time behind me, if I can say that. And with time, comes a little wisdom. And I don't claim to be a wise man either, but I just feel the Lord has impressed in my heart to try to bring forth a thought, a mini message or something of that sort, if I can use that term. I am a man of few words, and I'd like to call this section of our videos the Minute Ministry. Just a thought that I'm having. Hopefully it will encourage somebody out there. And the Minute Ministry is just that. It's going to be short and hopefully inspirational. Hopefully somebody can glean something from it. I want to try to do something with this more consistent than our family heritage living videos. I want to try to do something every week, and if my thought can reach just one person, just one person out there, it'll be what a huge blessing. The Minute Ministry came to mind a couple of weeks ago or so. I've been toying with it. I remember our first pastor said our brain can only absorb as much as our seat will allow. So, we can preach all day long, but if we're, not able to absorb it, then, what good is that really doing? If we can get something out there for us to chew on, throughout the day or, throughout the week, and that's doing something. My first pastor, I love him dearly. He was a very humble man, a great man of God. The other day I was in the car, I was running into town, and I know this is not an original thought, but it was for me. The Lord impressed in me. He brought up a sponge. When we take a sponge and put it in a bucket of water and squeeze it out, what do we get? We get water out of that sponge. We don't take the sponge and put it in the bucket of water and squeeze it and have milk come out. That's just not what happens. And our lives, are like a sponge. What are we putting into ourselves? And the sponge is, like the trial that we're going through. If we're filling ourselves full of God, when we go through a trial, God is going to come out of us. It doesn't matter what we're going through, God is going to seep out of us. Unless we're not putting God in us. If we're putting more of the world in us than we are God. When we go through that trial, when we get squeezed, what's coming out of us? Worldliness is coming out of us. Hussing and cussing and carrying on, instead of giving God the glory for what we are going through and what He is taking us through, what He's going to bring us to. Excuse me. Couple of couple of verses the Lord brought to mind is in Genesis, and it deals with Joseph and what Joseph went through. And I'm not going to get all into that at this time. What the Word says in chapter 39, verse 2, the Lord was with Joseph. In verse 3, and the master saw that the Lord was with him, being Joseph. Verse 21, the Lord was with Joseph. The story of Joseph, he was sold into slavery. He was put in second command under Potiphar. He was over all of Potiphar's house. Had some dealings with Potiphar's wife. At least she tried. He had nothing to do with that. Anyway, he was put into prison. But the Lord was always with Joseph. And I don't read anywhere in Joseph's story where he, going through a tribulation, was hussing and cussing and giving God a hard time. But he was always praising God and giving God the glory. And the Lord was always with Joseph. And I believe that to be true today. If we fill ourselves full of God, he will always be with us. He will always see us through. Doesn't mean everything's going to go without a problem. Joseph, he started out in his father's house. His brothers sold him into slavery, and he had a pretty rocky life for a while. Things were going real well for him for a while, and then he was put into prison by his boss. Joseph, when he's going through a trial, a tribulation, and he's been in prison, was not hussing and cussing God. He was still giving God the glory. When he was going through that hard time, he was still giving God the glory. And the Word, tells us that the Lord was with Joseph. So it doesn't matter what we're going through, the Lord is with us. And we need to fill ourselves with God. So when we do go through those hard times, God is coming forth from us and not the world. I hope this encourages somebody today. Have a blessed day.